in the same way, like for Amy, getting that early view, albeit incidentally, was incredibly empowering and probably added years to her life.
Hi, my name is Dr. Carol Sarkisian. I am the medical director for Ezra. Today we're going to talk with Andrew Bloom. Andrew, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Hi, Carol. Nice to be here. I'm Andrew. I've lived in New York since 1998, originally from London. I'm an Arsenal fan. I have two kids, and I've been working in the advertising and marketing and data industry for over 15 years.
And how has cancer affected you and your family?
I mean, my wife's story with cancer and with scanning really started back in 2007. We'd had already had one kid, Henry, born in 2003. We were trying for another kid. Like many people, like couples, we ended up needing fertility treatment. And one of the outcomes for Amy was fairly common, which is a twisted ovary, which is an emergency surgery, and rushed to hospital. And fortunately, the radiographer on duty that day confirmed twisted ovary, go sort that out, but it said that there was a shadow that she saw in her GI tract that they were concerned about. And what that was, after a fairly tortured path to get to the diagnosis, was something called an IPMN, which is a benign but concerning tumor in the pancreas. And ultimately, it was decided back then this was a fairly uncommon for a 34, 35-year-old woman to have this, but ended up with decision to resect her pancreas, which is a fairly complicated procedure, a Whipple procedure, and the tumor was removed. Now, we then went on to have a beautiful second kid, Lucy, and for the next many years, 14 plus years, she was on an annual screening cycle, an MRI screening cycle, which gave her a tremendous, and myself and the whole family, a tremendous sense of comfort that there were no changes going on there, and gave ourselves sort of the freedom to sort of continue to live and feel good about the future. Ultimately, and unfortunately, in the 15th year, 2021, she ended up discovering that she had metastatic pancreatic cancer, and unfortunately passed away in 2022, a year later. I've asked myself many times, particularly about Amy's situation, what good could come from her story. And the truth of that is I've struggled with that to find it, but one area where I sort of default to is this idea that the data, the information about her story is or could be extremely powerful for other people as well. And so not only is the scan itself empowering for me and for her story, it's the talking about doing Ezra scans and the talking about her story has already, to be honest with you, changed more than a few people's lives. The more I've been willing to talk about this, the more it has changed people's behaviors. And I think that really is, for me, like a moral imperative. And that is really that's what Amy's story is. And that's how I want to take it going forward.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what you see is the value of an Ezra scan?
Yes, so I just think that this is all about empowerment. An ability to get an early look into what's going on, to have some sort of predictive capability about what might be there for the future is everything. In a world today where I see a lot of siloing of information. I've spent a career in data in and around the advertising and marketing industry, and we talk about the value that gets created when data can flow, can move from different stakeholders. And I feel somewhat in despite everyone's best intentions in the medical community, there are many silos and many places where data is locked and is not sort of free to manifest and do what it's supposed to do. And so in the same way, like for Amy, getting that early view, albeit incidentally, was incredibly empowering and probably added years to her life. To me, it's an obvious. It's obvious for me to want access to that data for myself, for my own health, for my own decision making, but also for my kids, and to put ourselves in the driving seat here.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being an advocate for Ezra, and look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you very much.